What's up, fight fans? This is the Combat Connection, and we have a full show for you guys today. I'm your host, Brett Cagle. Joining us is Eddie Law, Patrick Danna, and the newest member of Cageside Press, Destiny McCubbin. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Hell yeah.
How we doing?
Hey, man, you're eating into my recovery time, dog. Come on, man. I just went in there, lifted a bunch of heavy stuff, bro. Like, let's go, man. And do not start me with Logan Storley. All right, I don't want to take a nap to start this shit.
Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez right out the gate. Let's talk about it. Last weekend, big main event. Sean Strickland silenced a lot of doubters, came in there as a plus 230 underdog. The former champion stops Anthony Hernandez riding an 8-fight win streak into that matchup. And Eddie, he might have staked his claim for a title opportunity against Hamzat, might not be at the White House. Obviously, there'd be a lot of risk putting a microphone in front of his face there. But, Eddie, I don't know how you can turn this guy back. After what he did last weekend to Anthony Hernandez, he's got to be the next number one contender. It's the biggest fight possible.
Why wouldn't you put him in the White House? That'd be the dumbest thing, not put that man in the White House, okay? Look, if we're going to go, how do I put this? If we're going to go full Arsler, okay, let's go with that. If we're going full Arsler, okay, you throw Strickland in the White House, okay? Screw it. Drop the nuke right on. So speaking, okay, all right, White House, FBI, Secret Service, I said that by accident, chill out, I'm not nuking a damn thing, okay? But if you're going to go in, just go in, man. Throw Strickland in there. Hell, main event him against Hamzat for the title. I mean, dude, he sold it about as best as you possibly could, right? The last real American against Hamzat. Why not?
Pat, he sold it on media day. What did you think about Strickland's performance? And then do you think he gets his shot at the White House card?
Yeah, I mean, he also, sold it post-fight, I guess, because it's the first time I've ever seen them mute a fighter's mic at the post-fight press conference. That was kind of insane, I'm not going to lie. He was going pretty crazy. I don't know. I feel like Strickland on the White House is probably just such a nightmare for the UFC. I can only imagine the nightmare that they have to go through every time he steps in the cage and wins a fight. So I don't know. I think it'd probably be too much of a nightmare. He just talk about Epstein the entire time. I mean, that's just exactly what he's going to do. So I think it's probably not going to happen at the White House, but I think he probably deserves the next middleweight title shot, unless there's a weird situation where Imavov isn't fighting for that title and it has to be Dricus. I don't think they make Dricus Sean 3. I don't see a point in making that fight. No. But I think if it is Imavov, I think Strickland will be the one across from him for sure.
Yeah, and one fight that's really got away is Strickland and Robert Whitaker. Wish we could have seen that one. But Destiny, what did you make of the performance from Strickland last weekend? Is that what you were expecting?
No, it was not. He came out. He fought the perfect fight. He really did. He established the jab early and let that lead the dance the entire way. I feel like Fluffy could not find his rhythm, and he made sure of it. I feel like also Strickland was definitely a little bit bigger, and I think that he was just a little bit, maybe a level above him. It really did show.
Yeah, physically, I think Sean came in the best shape that we've seen him in. Obviously, he's got a great gas tank, but coming off that 12-month layoff, we didn't know what fighter we were going to expect coming back. And as you mentioned, Fluffy couldn't really get in a rhythm, didn't get this fight to the floor at any point in time. We thought he would have a significant advantage in the grappling. Never got to see that portion of his game in this one, and it was a kickboxing contest that Sean Strickland won. Pat, how surprised were you that Fluffy was not able to get this fight to the ground?
I mean, I definitely thought Strickland had a path to victory before the fight, but I definitely thought it would be involving getting taken down a couple times and getting back up. The fact that Fluffy was just so unsuccessful initiating the grappling, every time he did, it was completely shut down. It was pretty crazy. Like Destiny said, it kind of was like a levels kind of thing there where I mean, we saw Dricus get Strickland to the ground, and I don't know if Dricus's grappling is better than Hernandez. It really just might have been a different level of fighter that Hernandez was going up against in there.
Could be. Now, when we talk about the best fighters in this division, Eddie, we've been on the Imavov train for a while now, but do you think that Sean Strickland I mean, given it is a bigger fight, but has he earned it to jump Imavov after Imavov finished Izzy, the former champion, in the weight class?
Bro, the word earned when it comes to title shots in the UFC, my guy. You know when that went away? When it sold to Endeavor. The day that it sold to Endeavor, I said it to everybody. I've been saying that shit forever, and I will say it forever, okay? That day, I told everybody, the word earned, throw it out of the UFC dictionary. That will never matter, and not whatsoever. You know they're going to skip Imavov. They're going to jump him. That sucks, because Imavov should have already fought for the title, in my opinion. So he's going to get jumped again, whether it's Sean or somebody else, and that's what's going to happen. But I mean, dude, how many? By the way, you've been the one on the Imavov train. I fully admit I was wrong for the longest time, and I jumped on the train. Now I'm with you.
He doesn't talk, Eddie, man. It's like
that's the problem.
He's more active than Avoyev, so you can't really use the activity thing against Imavov. But it's just that he can't build a fight here in America. And when you have, like, Sean's not wrong. He says things that obviously rub people the wrong way, obviously are highly controversial. But when you look at it here to an American audience, that is not going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. Now, he says it a lot, more flamboyant than that and gets people's attention. But that is the reality of the situation. And you're right, Eddie. But for Hernandez, we had a comment here about 145. Obviously, that's a joke. But do you think he could drop down to 170 pounds? There has been a little bit of talk there. He's not the most in-shape guy at 185. Do you think he could maybe make 170?
He could. He can. Not that he can't. He definitely can. Now, is it a smart move? I've done weight cuts. Des has done weight cuts. We know that if you do that weight cut, you feel good at, let's say, like I went to 85 in my younger years, right? That was easy. Could I got a 170? I'm 5'10" at best. I should have been a 45er, right? But I'm not making. I could have made 45, but I would have been dead fight night, right?
Yeah.
So no, absolutely not. I think keep it going. You were doing great at 85, Fluffy. You stay at 85. Now, if you go another one and you lose, touch 70. See what happens, right? I mean, it's working for Puna. Puna's killing it.
Yeah, Destiny. Do you think we could see? Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Just because you can make it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, and do you think we could see Fluffy make another title push eventually here in this weight class, Destiny?
I think so. I definitely do. I think he's young, he's hungry, and I think, he's obviously got some climbing to do again, but I don't doubt that he could do it. I mean, in his performance, it showed that he's still got a lot to improve on. I don't think where he's at is where he stays. He's going to get better.
Yeah. Certainly. And someone who's improved a lot is the winner of our co-main event matchup from last weekend, Uros Medic, who shut the lights off of Geoff Neal. Obviously, Geoff Neal coming off that knockout loss to Carlos Prates. We don't know what the chin was like going in, and we kind of got an answer in the first round in this one. Uros Medic throws a left hook over the top of a right hand coming from Geoff Neal and shuts his lights off there by knockout. Pat, this is one of the most devastating knockouts that I've seen live. What did you think about Uros Medic here? He absolutely is making a tear in this division. 3 knockouts in a row after last weekend.
Yeah, I'm shocked about Medic, honestly. I did not expect him to go on the run he's been on, especially beating Geoff Neal. I mean, he's just a pure finisher. Kill or be killed kind of fighter. He's exactly what the UFC is looking for right now. So they're going to continue to push him. I mean, Dana had him on the phone with Donald Trump after the fight. I don't think anyone would have ever been able to predict that. So Medic is just one of those fighters that everyone's just a massive fan of right now just because of his finishing ability. I mean, that's his 3rd straight finish in under 80 seconds. Just it's hard to deny him at this point. I'd love to see him fight Leon Edwards, test Leon Edwards' chin and see where that's at after getting knocked out by Prates. Might as well give him the same route because he's just as devastating of a finisher.
Yeah, in Destiny, what did you think about Geoff Neal? Obviously, he's a veteran of the sport, a very tough guy, but do you think that Uros Medic needs to, take a step up in competition after this one, fighting the Leon Edwards, or do you think that, like Geoff Neal didn't perform that well, right? So were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I was surprised for sure. Definitely not his best performance, but I mean, Medic is he's just got crazy power. Like it was kind of a flawless, effortless shot that he landed. It's not like he put a lot into it. He just touched him in the perfect spot. It was perfect placement.
Yeah. Eddie, what did you think about Medic? Do you think if he gets thrown to a grappler up in this weight class that we're going to see the same results, or do you think he's going to, run into a little bit of trouble when he does face elite grappling?
I've been waiting for this moment the entire day. Put some respect on my boy Uros' name, my guy. All right, he is it, boys. Okay, when Uros Medic gets in there and he puts it in his head, he's going to knock you the hell out. Boy, you better watch out. All right, that Serbian / Yugoslavian / all that stuff that comes out of that dude out of nowhere. Okay, do not sleep on these Europeans. All right, these guys grew up in war. They didn't grow up all nice over here, on couches and watching Disney at 3 a.m. When your parents are asleep still. Right? That dude was dodging. His whole people were fighting each other. All right, families fighting each other, dodging bombs. Okay, the mentalities people have is different. Uros is just a little too nice. And he dropped that shit on Saturday. That was dope. Now, if they throw him to a grappler, how good is his takedown defense, basically? And what kind of level of grappler? We're not talking, if we're talking like a DC level grappler, he's screwed. I mean, let's be honest about that, right? But if you're talking like a regular dude, like a good, well-rounded guy that doesn't have a, crazy grappling, I think Uros can get it. I think Uros just like kind of laid his claim to this momentum that he's been looking for. He finally has it. All right. Now is the time for Uros Medic to make a run, all right, and demand that the UFC go to his home.
Well, didn't we just hear something that isn't going to happen, Pat? That Belgrade, unfortunately, isn't going to happen?
Yeah, there's definitely been some rumors floating around that event isn't actually going to be a thing. And even if it isn't, I mean, I still think Medic is going to get a decently big fight next. But what I really want to see, I want to see the Uros Medic Oralbai rematch. Oralbai subbed him in his UFC debut. Oralbai's back up at 170 now. Medic on a run like this. Oralbai's been great as well. I'd love to see that rematch now again. See how that goes, because originally Oralbai was coming up for that fight. He was a 155er fighting at 170. Now he's a 170er. So I'd love to see that rematch happen. I want to see if he can pass that test now.
Yeah, I think that him versus Leon Edwards, or maybe a matchup versus Oralbai, is something fight fans would want to see in the future. Great win by Uros Medic. Gets the third knockout in a row for him. Another guy we got to talk about is Melquizael Costa, who was the first man to finish Dan Ige after last weekend with a spinning wheel kick. Destiny, what'd you make of this performance for Melquizael Costa?
I mean, wow. He came out and put on a clinic. He started off with devastating kicks, made sure that Dan could not get into his boxing range. I think that the beginning of the end was that up kick to the chin for sure. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. Like Melquizael Costa, to me and Eddie have been talking about this guy for a while because he's just so well-rounded. On the feet, we saw him beat Morgan Charrier by knockout. Again, gets it done on the feet this weekend. He's got elite jiu-jitsu that people haven't seen in his last two fights. So this guy is the complete package to me, Eddie. I think he's the best prospect we have right now at 145 pounds. And he called out Diego Lopez, which would make a really big fight if they wanted to do that on a Noche card or something in the near future. Eddie, what do you think about Melquizael Costa? We've kind of been on his hype train as well in recent months.
He is speaking English now. It is time, Melky. All right. It is time to be the Dalmatian, dude. I want him to show up. Okay. The spots and all that for the next presser, whatever it is. Okay. He's got to have someone dressed up as Cruella de Vil. He's got to have his whole crew like tagged up. And you can tell I'm old as shit because I've seen that movie a million times when I was a kid. But like, he show up, his entire crew's got to come up with spots and stuff like that, running across the road and all that. I want him to play it up so much because you know what the UFC loves? When they don't have to do shit to market you. It is perfectly timed. And he's a killer. He took out a fan favorite. Hurt me a little bit. I'm sure, a lot of people hurt a little bit. Like, take out Dan Ige. That hurt a little bit, right? Because I love Dan Ige. But this kid
to be the first person to ever finish him. Sorry to interrupt you, but the first person to ever finish Dan Ige is crazy.
No, it's a huge win for Melky. He just announced himself to the MMA world. Dude, let's go. Yep. It's time.
Pat, you're the best guy in MMA for prospects. What do you think about the potential of Melquizael Costa? Is he championship caliber?
I mean, I've been wrong about him just repeatedly. I mean, I don't even know if I'm the best guy to rate him because I am so wrong about him constantly. I thought Ige was going to win this fight, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, Ige, we've seen him lose before, but the first time to be finished and like that, a spinning back kick in round one, especially, like Costa's legit, man. This winning streak is not a fluke. Like, he is very legit. I really don't know what his ceiling is, but obviously it's higher than I ever thought it was. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him go on some kind of title run off this hype.
Yeah. Destiny. Oh yeah. Sorry. I was going to ask you what you thought about him and Diego Lopez. Who do you think would win that matchup?
I love that match. I love the idea of a matchup. I think that is a fire fight for sure. That's tough. That's really tough. I would like to see Melky's ground game for sure. I don't really know who would be the better on the ground, but I do think that Melky could be the better on the feet. I really do. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it going the way at all with Dan Ige. Like, how did you guys expect it? It was so shocking, honestly. Like, I didn't expect, especially in the first round, on in 40 fights that Dan has.
Yeah, I didn't
expected Dan to
expect
win
him
a
to get
close
finished,
decision.
especially on the feet. If Pat, sorry to interrupt you, but if I thought this fight was going to get finished, I thought he was going to be able to submit him.
Yeah.
I expected a close fight,
that.
close decision win from Dan. I was shocked at the result, honestly.
I mean, it wasn't even like it was one-sided the entire time, the short amount of time that we had with the fight, but it was one-sided. And Dan really never found his rhythm, his dance,
Yeah, and I've really been saying that Melquizael Costa reminds me a lot of Charles Oliveira. Early in Charles Oliveira's career at 145 pounds, he lost a couple fights, got finished by some people that he shouldn't have got finished by. Obviously, later in his career, when he moved up to 155, became the champion we all know and love. But Melquizael Costa lost to Steve Garcia about 7 fights ago, got finished, and he's come back since those 7 fights and improved in every single one of them. I think that he is really a star in the making moving forward at 145 pounds. But Eddie, we got to talk about Jacobe Smith because he about killed a man last weekend. Dana White at the post-fight presser was saying this is one of the nastiest knockouts that he's seen in recent memory. Jacobe Smith kind of reverses Josh Harrell on the ground. Josh Harrell was the one that initiated the grappling. Beautiful hips by Jacobe Smith getting on top of him, almost into crucifix position there. A couple elbows and then some punches. Kerry Hatley, veteran referee, was slow getting in there. I think that was more on him. He was mad at Jacobe Smith a little bit, but I think that's more on Kerry than it was on Jacobe Smith, given his, lack of time getting in there to stop that fight. Eddie, what did you make of the performance from Jacobe Smith?
Dude, talk about a guy who is creating his own momentum as it goes, and quietly. Now he's starting to speak a little bit more, right? He called that
Kevin Holland
in the best way. He called him a bitch. Get his bitch ass out here. And they were like, well, you got beef with him? He's like, nah, I just kind of just saying it, right? But that's how you get it. And, closed mouths don't get fed. Yeah. And if you want to drag out Kevin Holland, you want to drag out Trailblazer for a fight. I know he's got a fight coming up, but that dude loves to fight. You want to drag him out for a fight? Call him a bitch ass. You know what he likes? He hates being called stuff like that. So he did it perfectly. And the performance, flawless, right? Josiah Harrell, I still believe he's in the wrong weight class personally for the size. But either way, like, just to get in there on short notice and kill it the way he did, I was just like everybody else, I feel like was just like holding their breath, just like, please get up, dude. Like that. I legit was just like, oh shit, for like a solid, like, because he took forever to get it up. When he got up, I was like, thank you. Oh,
scary.
Jesus. Yeah.
It was scary. Do you guys think that the brain injury that he had something to do with such a devastating knockout? Like,
hard to say no to that.
Right. Like, I almost feel like maybe after having such a serious brain injury, it's almost like, should he even be fighting? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
No, that's a great question because the commissions are, they have to go look at the previous medical history and they got to clear these guys to get in there. He fought on a week's notice, probably, as Eddie mentioned, up a weight class. How many things are we going to stack against a guy in his UFC debut? And obviously fighting a guy in Jacobe Smith, who, Pat, I want your opinion. Where does Jacobe Smith rank among American prospects? We've got Bo Nickel, we've got Joe Pyfer. Is he the best guy we have right now among American prospects?
In my opinion, yeah. I've been on the Jacobe Smith hype train from before he was in the UFC. He is one of my favorite prospects out there. He's just a killer, man. As soon as he had his debut and just battered Preston Parsons on the feet, I was like, oh, okay, so we got the best of both worlds here. He has some crazy power on the feet. He's just an elite grappler. I mean, we saw that reversal that he had off that takedown attempt from Harrell. I don't remember the last time I saw something like that, genuinely. That was an insane transition. And then he had Harrell out within 15-20 seconds, like out cold on the ground from ground and pound. It was just like, he is just one of my favorite prospects in the sport right now. I think he's the best prospect at 170. That's outside of the rankings. And I think that Eddie was saying, like, oh, drag Kevin Holland out for a fight. I think he dragged Kevin Holland in a fight too. I think that's a great matchup for Jacobe Smith. I really think we have a serious star on our hands with him.
One thing about Jacobe Smith, I want to get your opinion, Pat. He's about 5'10", right? And at 170 pounds, we got guys like Protest. We got guys like he called out Kevin Holland. They're 6'3". There's some big boys there at 170. Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Do you think the length when he moves up in competitive level? Do you think the length is going to give him a problem at all?
Well, as I'll quote Eddie from last week. Eddie said, "Size don't matter as much when you got him on the ground." So
That's true.
I think he out grapples guys like Prates and Holland. Like, like obviously they have more striking power. They could easily knock him out on the feet and touch him up. But if he gets 95% of welterweights on the ground, I think he's dominating them, plain and simple. I mean, I think the Nico Price fight did show a couple flaws, especially with cardio, but I think that's things he'll work on throughout his time in the UFC. He's been working with DC now. I mean, I'm really hopeful for what he ends up turning into, because I genuinely, like I said, think he's probably the best American prospect we have.
There you go, fight fans. That's what we got on Jacobe Smith. But before we move off the topic, Eddie and Destiny, how concerned were you with Joshua Harrell? And do you think he should even come back here in the next six months, given, obviously the devastating knockout?
I don't. I think, after a brain injury like that and then a knockout like this, absolutely not. I mean, the reversal was absolutely beautiful, but Jacobe wasn't really in a position to land to knock him out. The ground and pound wasn't coming from a place where it should have been such a devastating knockout. I don't feel like.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Eddie, how long do you think Josiah Harrell should take off? Obviously, he's probably going to get a medical suspension of 3 months, but if you were coaching him, if you were his teammate, what would you advise him?
Forget the coach and the team. Did you see Dana White's face in the post-fight press when they asked him about him? The last time I saw Dana White look that concerned, Uriah Hall knocked out Adam Sella, all right, on that Ultimate Fighter with that nasty, you guys remember, right? He gets knocked out. He's on the ground. He's like dry heaving and freaking out. And Uriah Hall, that moment changed who Uriah Hall was. He did that to somebody. It didn't happen to him. He did it to somebody else. And that changed him, okay? That's the last time I saw Dana White's face like that, like he had on Saturday, all right? Dana White is going to make sure this kid is clear, or he's going to let him go. You do not want to be the promotion that has a death in the cage. And I hate even saying those words because that is the ultimate nightmare. But no, he's going to have to get put through like the ringer. And if it's not Dana, it's going to be any commission he tries to get his license through. They're going to put him through it. You know how much of a pain it is to get licensed? It sucks. To go in there with a known brain disease, injury, whatever you want to call it, it's even harder.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, guys, we got to move on to the heavyweight division. There was a main card matchup here.
Do we? Hold on. Do we really? Do we really need to talk about heavyweight, my guy?
Hey, this was not bad compared to some heavyweight fights. This is not horrible.
Spivac bit down on the mouthpiece and kind of got in the grill of Ante Delija. I thought Delija would be able to win a fight kickboxing from the outside. I thought he'd be quicker. He weighed 15 pounds less. Yeah. He's known as a striker. But that's not what happened, Pat. Serghei Spivac showed the best striking of his career, mixed it up a little bit against the cage when he needed to, and got himself a unanimous decision victory.
Yeah, no, I think Serghei Spivac was training with Sean Strickland because that jab was money all night, man. Like nice. I was shocked that Spivac's jab looked that good and that he was controlling Delija completely with it. I mean, outside of maybe a minute-long sequence in round 2 where Spivac was almost finished by Delija, I think he controlled most of the fight. I really don't think he was ever in danger outside of that. He seemed to be winning most of the minutes and just really dominated. I mean, his grappling was obviously better. That wasn't a surprise, but the striking, I mean, those hands were on point. And also, can we just talk about what we see on screen there? That 30-27 scorecard. How absurd was that? Delija almost had him out cold in round 2. What the hell is that scorecard? I mean, that these Texas judges, I mean, every time they go to Texas, I feel like there's always bad scorecards. Luckily, I really don't think there were too many robberies on this card, but there were definitely some bad scorecards overall.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of this one, Destiny?
Yeah, I think obviously he's always got the great grappling and, his judo. The striking looked really good. It does seem as that he maybe switched camps over here in Vegas to freestyle MMA. So he's under Gokor. The style of the fight, the style that he showed in the fight definitely shows, that he's been working with that team. And I think it's helping him out for sure.
Eddie, we've seen Jailton Almeida let go at this weight class. We've seen Alexander Romanov let go at this weight class. Serghei Spivac went in there, and he tried his best not to have an unentertaining performance. Do you think that the pressure kind of like forced Serghei to fight more aggressively than normally, obviously given that the UFC is letting go of a lot of these guys at heavyweight?
I will put aside the fact that Serghei Spivac doesn't like me. I get it. I misspelled your name one time, my guy. Get over it, dude. Jesus. But we just watched the number 6 ranked heavyweight get axed. After, mind you, Almeida took that fight on short notice, okay? He took super short notice, okay? Took a fight he didn't need to take, lost it, and gets cut. That when he took that fight on short notice, they gave him a new contract, dude. They cut him on a new contract. Okay, every heavyweight got the notice. They all got that memo now. Serghei Spivac was like, he probably saw that. He's like, shit, I better work on my jab now. Fuck, where am I going? Right? Like, cool. Like, yeah. So it's about time.
Strickland.
There you go. Yeah. Go with. Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that sparring session, honestly. But like, and exactly what Pereira said, they're kind of letting go of the boring fighters, and I hate that they label it that way. But let's be honest about the heavyweight division. It is not exciting whatsoever. We don't have Tank Abbotts. We don't have Roy Nelsons. We don't have Cain Velasquez, who, in my opinion, still, had he not gotten injured, would have been the GOAT. We don't have Brock Lesnar's. We don't have fighters. We have athletes. The big difference between fighters and athletes. Now, if you can get an athlete that's also a fighter, you struck gold, baby. Let's go. You got Johnny Bones.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Okay.
DC. Yep.
DC,
yeah,
exactly.
Those type of guys. But to your point, Eddie, Mark, we've talked about this quite a bit. Mark Hunt, some of these guys back in the day, the weight class from 8 to 15 10 years ago was just so much more deep than what we see today. But we're going to talk about it later. We have another matchup. Josh Hokett is going to get matched up with Curtis Blades, number 4 in the world. That's a real big one. We'll get into that here in a minute. But let's finish up on this UFC Houston card. We have a couple more fights that we do need to talk about. There was a really close split decision between Michel Pereira and Zachary Reese, teammates there at one point in time at Extreme Couture. Michel Pereira, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, right? And he didn't look that great in the losses to Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And he really needed to get in the win column here to probably keep his job or at least stay at this competitive level. Zachary Reese, I thought, looked good throughout the contest, but at the end of the fight, he was bloodied up. He was kind of trying to have Pereira come towards him. It wasn't the best visual in the world given how much punishment he had taken over the 15 minutes. I slightly favored Pereira in this one. How did you have it scored, Destiny and Pat?
Destiny, you can go first.
Yeah, I definitely, I was favored. I honestly thought Reese was going to get it done. I really did. But I feel like Pereira showed that you cannot sleep on him. You really can't. He got that dog in him.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought Reese edged it out, but it's not a robbery by any means because I thought it was kind of just like a damage over volume kind of scoring, you know? I feel like Pereira was doing more damage with the shots he landed. Reese was touching him up a lot more, but there wasn't really much damage behind a lot of those shots. So I think they just leaned towards the damage that Pereira did. Like I said, I don't think it's a robbery, but I also didn't think it was a great decision either. Just kind of one of those. And I'm honestly shocked that in Texas, where Zach Reese is from, that he didn't get the nod there. I mean, usually the hometown fighters get some kind of favoritism, but did not happen in this fight.
Were you surprised by that, Eddie?
Go ahead.
So sorry.
Go ahead.
That could be the judging too. Like you said, you know, the judging in Texas isn't that great. So they didn't really go off the, you know, what they were seeing. Rather, they went off damage.
No. Yeah. No, that's the thing too. Is we cannot forget that judges are still, I'll call them human instead of ass, right? But they're human, right? They make mistakes plenty of times, right? We've seen some terrible decisions in certain areas, right? So I thought first of all, I personally had it edged for Reese, but before he read the decision was read, I was just like, the optics don't look great. Reese is busted up, not looking good at all. And again, keep in mind what I just said about just being human, okay? If you go outside, right, and you see someone street fight, okay, and they're fighting and everything, okay, if you miss the actual fight, but there's still if someone goes, hey, that guy fought that guy, if the dude that probably won the fight was all blooded up, you're going to think he lost, right? Yeah. So that's optics matter. That's why they say damage is king. Damage is king, and it will always be king in this. And luckily now that the judges got their heads out of their ass with that stuff, but damage is king, and you need to create and cause damage. That's why everyone loves fighting a Diaz brother, right? Because no matter what happens, if you go to decision and it's a Diaz brother, those guys have so much scar tissue, they rip up like that, like it's nothing. Okay, that's why you get Nick, in my opinion, that's why you get Nick losing so many close decisions in his career. That's why Nate lost some decisions in his career, because the optics are not great, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I couldn't have said it any better, Eddie. I think Zachary Reese, like, as I was saying, I just thought that Pereira, due to the damage and the optics, like you were saying, was going to get the nod there. But in Texas, I was a little bit surprised that he didn't get a little bit of a hometown scorecard there. But someone who didn't need a hometown scorecard was Carlos Leal, who beat Chidi Njokuani by unanimous decision. Pat, he really got in his face, made him fight off the back foot, and put volume on him to the body and head the entire fight. I was really impressed with Carlos Leal, who you said last week that loss to Salikov was a fluke knockout and that happens maybe 1 out of 10 times. After seeing last week, I have to maybe agree with you. I think that when you saw Carlos Leal get announced as the winner, how emotional he was. He was devastated after that loss to Salikov, and I think he was a little bit embarrassed about how that happened. Got back in the win column this week. What'd you think of that?
No fight of the night bonus. I mean, come on, that was like the best fight of the year in my opinion. I mean,
I could
seriously,
not agree more.
Chidi's Muay Thai was incredible throughout the fight, and he still couldn't like fuck Leal off in the boxing. I mean, it was pretty crazy, honestly. I don't know how Leal's volume stayed that way. Like, it was only in round 1 and 3 for the most part, but how do you have that much volume in you in round 3? Like, that was similar to the beating he put on in Ray Cooper in the PFL, where he just did not stop throwing punches. There was like no breaks. He did not give Chidi any breaks, barely gave him any time to set up his knees, set up his kicks, and I think that was really the decider, is the fact that he gave him no time to really set up, because Chidi was on point. His striking looked great, his Muay Thai was on point, but Leal's boxing was just all up in his face, and he could not do anything about it. It was a great fight, though.
Yeah. How impressed were you with his performance, Destiny?
I was very impressed. I was rocking with Chidi for sure. Chidi looked great, but he just could not get. I mean, Leal made sure that he stayed in boxing range and shut down everything that Chidi had to bring. He wasn't eating too much power, and Chidi, regardless, is bringing power. And the way he was just walking through it was crazy. Leal had the crazy eyes too. Like, he came in there to win. He was not leaving. You know what I mean? If you look at his eyes, he just looked like, nah, I ain't leaving without my hand raised tonight. You know. So yeah, I was super impressed. But I totally agree with you, Pat. I think it should have been a fight of the night for sure. Because he definitely he made Chidi bring out the dog in him. Like, Chidi obviously fought well, but at the end he had to really pull that out of him to make it to the end, I think.
Yeah, bad intentions from Carlos Leal. Eddie, how did you see this one? And given Carlos Leal, we did see him get beat by Muslim Salikov, who's 40 years old. That's a terrible loss any way you want to look at it. But moving forward in his career, do you think he's a real player here at 170?
Well, first, 100% yes. But first of all, especially if you fight like that, okay? But first of all, I was like, God damn, Chidi must have said something about Carlos's mom or something, because that dude was mad as hell. Like, he went in there just like, I'm going to kill you. Like, the eyes, like, that's the crazy eyes. He had crazy as a whole ass fight. He was trying to kill this dude.
Chico, they don't lie.
100, yeah, the eyes, Chico, they don't lie. You know, but like Chidi's eyes, he looks shocked shitless. He was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he looks so like shocked that throughout the entire fight, and Carlos didn't slow down. I don't know who's doing your cardio, Carlos, but keep on that shit. Let's go, boy, because that was dope. Now, is he a real player at 170? Yes, absolutely. If he fights like that. Now, I want to see another matchup against a guy similar level as Chidi, right? And I want to see a finish from you, Carlos. I need a finish from you, buddy, okay? And then we can talk about bumping you up. And please, for the love of God, with your fight style, learn some English, my guy. We need to market you, all right? Call your boy. I got you. My Portuguese is, más o menos, but still, come get you.
Someone who did get a finish last weekend, Eddie, was Josylen Edwards in a ranked matchup against Nora Cornelle. This is one of the nastiest slams that we've seen. We've seen Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas in the past, but Destiny, this was brutal. Slammed her. It looked like she was injured, and then eventually was able to get to her back and sub her there. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, I almost seemed like the slam knocked her out for a second. Did you guys see that? So it was like definitely the shoulder issue, and then I feel like she was knocked out. I think that it could have been stopped at that moment without even them getting back up to the feet. But then having to get back up and take more damage. It was a nasty, beautiful performance from Josylen Edwards. Hats off to her. She looked great.
And there was a little bit of a sound issue in her press conference, but she said that her coach calls her the women's Kevin Randleman, and she showed it last weekend there, Pat. What do you think about Josylen Edwards? Obviously, she's a very good kickboxer as well. Now, she elected to take this fight to the ground, won by submission. I mean, she's a very good prospect here, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, 4-fight finish streak. I mean, she was never a bad fighter, but she's clearly turned a new page of the book in this 4-fight finish streak. I mean, she's looked great. She's looked like a legit top 10, maybe even top 5 kind of 135er. I mean, I just feel bad for Nora Cornelle. Like Destiny said, she got knocked out, then hurt her shoulder on the knockout, and then got choked out. I mean, that couldn't have been a worse sequence of events for Nora. So, I mean, hats off to her for, I guess being alive after that. Like that was really bad. But Edwards is a beast. I really think that she's definitely a big player at 135, and I want to see her against some of the girls that are tougher to finish to gauge how great her finishing ability is at the moment.
Yeah, probably due for a step up in competition. But let's talk about this, Eddie, before we get off of the card. Sean Strickland was the first guy to have his mic cut in UFC history. Obviously, he was saying stuff about grooming and things the UFC maybe would be liable for, to being sued if someone wanted to go ahead and do that. What did you think about them pulling the plug on him, Eddie? And is this the first time you've ever seen it? And were you surprised?
I'm pretty sure it's the second time, because I'm pretty sure I was there at one of them when he got his mic cut. I'm pretty sure.
But it's already happened?
I'm pretty sure it's already happened. I was in the media room one time, and he was still going, saying some wild-ish, and I'm just like, did anyone else hear that? Because they didn't go through the mic. But either way, am I surprised? No. Now, I'm going to put this out there as I did not go to law school. I'll tell you right now, okay? But I'll tell you this. He said all that stuff, and he's been saying on his Instagram and all stuff. You know why no one sued Sean Strickland? Because they would have to prove that he's lying.
Yeah,
they would have to prove that he's lying. Okay, all right. Say whatever you want about the diaper in chief, but that dude has been called all kinds of stuff, and he hasn't sued. Why? Because he's had to prove they're lying. Okay, I'm not going to go full Strickland here. Okay, I would love to get Strickland on here to go off on that, but either way, is there the media interviews for UFC? Oh, it's coming later tonight, my boy. Come back to Cageside Press in about 2 hours. I hate to tell you, it's gonna be late, but we'll get those up for you. No problem. But yeah, no. As far as like cutting the mic, it's funny because Brett, you were in there. How cringe were the PR folks watching this go down? Because I've seen our favorite PR people like sit like, oh shit, doing this a whole time. Like I've seen that happen, and I rather watch the PR's reactions than even listen to Sean Strickland because it's amazing. But what was it like for you in the media room?
So on media day, it was worse. They were anticipating it had a different guy in there on.
Oh no! Hold on, they got a new guy in there.
I don't know who it was, but he was.
Oh, you poor bastard!
Mid 30s, dude, black hair, kind of no nonsense. He got Strickland out of there, but they had young kids in there for the PR team on media day, and they were sitting there, mouths open. Oh my god! Like he's sitting here calling Bad Bunny what he called him. Obviously, no one wants to hear that, right. But. You're asking me for their reactions. They were just absolutely stunned by what they were hearing. But then obviously they got ahead of it on media night and kind of shut it off before it got going downhill there a little bit. But Pat, what was your opinion on all this? Sean Strickland gets more views than anybody in the sport. He's talked his way into a title shot probably with all this. I hate to say it, but I don't think the UFC really cares what he says, because moments after the media day, they posted his full press conference on YouTube, and it got him about 200,000 views going into the fight, which can't be bad press for him. So Pat, if they really had that much of a problem with it, would they have posted it on YouTube?
No, probably not. They probably somewhat enjoy the attention it brings. I mean, one of my friends who doesn't really watch fights texts in the group chat, and he's like, did you see what Sean Strickland called Chimaev? I'm like, yeah, I definitely did, buddy. Like, and it's just like stuff like that. Like he makes like the average person like watch only cringe because they want to see what he says. Yeah, cringe too. I mean, it really just depends on like what different reason you could have for watching him, but he gets people to watch him, and they definitely do listen to what he says, whether they like it, dislike it, like want him to get thrown down a garbage chute or something. Like he makes them listen, seriously.
Yeah. What'd you think of the comments, Destiny?
I think Strickland is like the definition of like all publicity is good publicity, kind of, and I think that it wasn't the UFC that cares, it's Paramount that cares. UFC loves this shit. It's Paramount that had to bring it back, reel it in. You know what I mean? But I always think Strickland's completely out of pocket. I'm not his biggest fan. So yeah, I think them cutting the mic off at that moment maybe was not a bad idea. But yeah, I don't think the UFC cares at all about what he says. They know what I said. I don't tell these guys anything that they can or can't say. I don't give a shit.
And off that though, Danna, he lies. Miguel Torres, all right. Terrible thing he tweeted out. but cut him.
Yeah.
Okay, so Danna, relax, Danna. We didn't lie.
Yeah.
All right? We got you on video, my boy.
I believe the difference there, though, Eddie, was Miguel Torres was maybe 0-2 coming over from the WEC. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're right, though. He didn't say shit that Strickland's obviously gone overboard compared to what Miguel said. But all right, guys, before we move on to the news and announcements, we got to give this a card rating. I actually enjoyed this UFC Houston cards. We had great finishes from Melquizael Costa and Uros Medic. And then I enjoyed the main event, Sean Strickland getting a finish as well. We talked about the Carlos Leal, Anthony Chidi Njokuani fight. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. What do you guys think?
I love the card. I thought
maybe.
it was a great card. I thought it was a stacked card. I thought the performances were good. Yeah, I want to say, 8.5. I'll go.
Yeah, for me, it's tough because I feel like the main card was kind of like a 10 out of 10 or close to it, if anything. The start of the fights, though, like the prelims, the early ones, were a bit of a drag. Like some of them were good, but just didn't have as much action as you would have hoped. I'd probably lean somewhere as like a 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going 7. I did miss about an hour in there just for the fact that I was coaching baseball, but I was getting updates on text, and everyone was going like, dude, this card sucks. I'm like, it sucks. What are you talking about? And I got home, and it was like the main card was dope. So either way, I'll give it a 7. Usually it's the other way, right? The prelims are dope, and the main card kind of No, it delivered this time around, I think. So 7.
Yeah.
I thought the main.
I'm
sorry, Disney.
Go ahead. So sorry. What do you guys think about JPL versus Rowe?
JPL, I love JPL. He looked great. I was surprised how good he looked early on the feet. I really thought he was going to need to grapple a lot more against Phil Rowe if he wanted to have as much success as he did, but he didn't need to. His striking was on point. He outstruck Phil Rowe in the first round. And then used his grappling. I mean, I don't know what the split decision is there. It's pretty crazy because 2 judges scored round 2 for Phil Rowe, and then 2 judges scored round 3 for Phil Rowe. I don't know what they were watching, really. I mean, Rowe definitely won the last minute of the fight, I'd say. But I think
brought that the entire time. Yeah.
I think 30-27 JPL was a better scorecard than 29-28 Rowe. So the fact that he almost got robbed here is kind of crazy to me. But he looked great. I was really impressed with what I saw, and I really liked how his striking was better than I expected it to be.
Yeah. I asked JPL about the split decision in the post-fight media room, and he was shocked. He's like, I don't know how that was a split decision. He's like, obviously he had me in a little trouble, like you were saying, in the last minute, but he couldn't believe that it was a split decision.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people couldn't.
You want to know why? Some of those judges might have been Petr Yan fans. Y'all see what JPL did at weigh-ins was freaking hilarious.
The yell.
Yeah. Because like, if you guys remember, like Petr Yan was totally serious. He was like, he's hilarious. I died laughing when I saw that. But Jean Paul was just like up there and just I died laughing, dude. It was hilarious. It was weird. But I'm not shocked. Come on, have you guys seen the lineage JPL comes from? I mean, we're talking about like legendary lineage. This kid he's got it. Now we've got to see him actually make good. We'll see what happens.
It will be interesting to see where he goes in the division. Guys, we got to talk a little bit about the post-fight presser from Dana White. It only lasted about 4 minutes. He didn't have much time for us. But he went in there and he said that a lot of the things that Sean Strickland says were due to the questions from the media. And, I was there in media room, and I got to agree with you, or I got to agree with him to a point. Like, listen, the lady who asked that, and I'm not
here tonight, it was sold out.
Sorry, my bad. Give me a second.
You're still happy to put him in those?
It's a nightmare.
Fight stuff like that.
To look as good as he did tonight.
Here we go.
I know the answer to this, but when you look at Strickland and what comes next to him, he's calling for a Hamzat fight, stuff like that. There's no like what he says during media day and things like that. That doesn't affect your booking of him, right? You are still happy to put him in those?
It's a nightmare. But you guys don't help. Asking him dumb shit, ask dumb shit, you're going to get dumb shit.
I agree.
What'd you think of Bad Bunny? What'd you think of the Super Bowl? Get the fuck out of here. You fucking kidding me? Yeah. So when you talk about what Strickland says, you guys like to push the buttons.
And then 10 minutes later, Strickland
outside of that,
wrong.
Yeah,
so Strickland was asked nothing out of pocket and started going crazy about stuff that he was not asked about 10 minutes later. So to an extent, yeah, he was right about media day, but post-fight, I mean, Strickland just went off on his own there. So it's kind of a 50-50 split, if you want me to be honest.
Exactly, Pat. I asked him about Khamzat Chimaev in the White House. He goes off on a spiel about Ali Abdelaziz and Tiki Gozan. So it's like, you don't really know which way this guy's going. Sean, in my opinion, doesn't really know which way he's going. And for Dana to sit there and say that, he knows exactly who asked that. You know, the lady who asked that is the most experienced journalist in the media room that fight week. She's been there longer than any of us, and she asked the first question. She was given the mic to ask those questions, and honestly, she knew what she was doing. She was getting clicks for all of us, and she actually told me before she asked the questions that I don't think he's going to want to talk about the fight. I'm going to talk to him about current events. I was sitting right next to her, and that's what she did, and that's her right. And honestly, Dana needs to look himself in the mirror and media train his fighters. If Sean doesn't want to answer a question about Bad Bunny, he says next question. That's what they do in the NFL. That's what they do in the NBA. If they don't want to talk about something, they don't want to talk about it. Sean Strickland went out there and talked about every single thing that she threw to him, and that's on Sean Strickland, in my opinion.
Is he an adult? He's an adult, right? He's over 18, right? Right? Am I wrong on that? Someone tell me. I might be wrong on this, right?
No,
he's an adult, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you're an adult and someone asks you some stupid shit, worst case, that's a dumbass question. Shut the fuck up. Best case, no comment. There you go.
What's Dalton Rasta do on media days? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, bro.
That's it. There you go. That being said, it's not surprising that he gets, Strickland gets those questions asked of him, right? I'm not a guy that would do something like that. I'm just not that kind of person. Like we see plenty of people in media, and I'm not throwing shade at her, but like we see plenty of people on media day, right? Throw questions out there, and fighters look at him. So I was like, what the hell is that? I mean, we'll look at them like, dude, what was that, right? That kind of stuff. And so does Dana have a point of sorts? I think he was better off saying, what do you guys expect when you ask him shit like that? That was what it would have been. Not like you guys don't help asking him stuff like that. He's not 12, right? He's not 12. You're not be like, hey, can you say the F word? No, we're not doing that. So I get what people are saying, right? By throwing it at the media, but we're an easy target. Why? Because we don't battle Dana White. We don't go out here talking shit about Dana White and how he's fucking this up and that up and possibly celebrating a guy on the FC list on his birthday. But either way, like, what are we doing? How are we playing for that? He's a grown ass man. Chill out. Personally.
Yeah, Pat, there's media training all over every sport, NBA, NFL. Do you think this is any differently? And do you think these guys actually get any media training at all? Or do you think they probably don't?
No. I mean, I've talked to a lot of fighters. I don't know if I could fully say that 5% of them were media trained. A lot of these guys aren't media trained, and they don't need to be. Most of them are completely normal, completely fine, and probably would just say next question if you asked them something about Bad Bunny or Ice or whatever. But no, we're talking about Sean Strickland. Everyone knows Sean Strickland and who he is. There's a reason he is the name that he is, and it's because of all the stuff he says like this. Bro. So I mean, this is a Strickland thing. This isn't a media thing.
And media training, you can forget about media training. They don't even give him health insurance. They're gonna give him media training. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think if you offered Sean Strickland media training, he'd tell you to fuck.
Yeah, he ain't doing it. He would not accept.
No way.
No.
And why would you if you were him? It's worked not being media trained to this point. To
be fair, there's no point for him. There's no point.
No.
Yeah. I think that maybe the media does ask stupid questions, but I think at the end of the day, like we said, Sean Strickland's just a lost cause. Regardless if the question is asked or not, he's going to say some out-of-pocket shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it got to the 9th question. I asked him about it being a number 1 contenders fight. Opinion, that should have been the first thing out of someone's mouth. It's why we were there.
What about this? What about this, Brett? What about the fact that Sean Strickland looked at you and he was like, who's that guy who was wrestling? And you were like, Ryan Loder. He's like, that man right there knows shit. That is a professional man. He's dressed professional. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, when you see a Cageside press member at media day, we are not fucking around. We're not showing up in sweatpants or jeans or shit. We are showing up professional. All right, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to ask him a question because they cut his mic off. So,
Damn.
But, all right, guys, there is some big news in the world of boxing. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao will meet again the second time. This time on Netflix. 10 years since the first time they fought? It has to be, maybe even more. Destiny, are you excited for this matchup at all?
I told Eddie, I don't know if we need this fight again. I think it's cool because it's at the Sphere. I think that's really freaking cool. But gosh, they're both so far retired and coming back. Manny Pacquiao's doing an exhibition bout going down in April. I want to say at the Thomas and Mack.
Mhm.
I'm assuming this is kind of his getting his feet wet, washing off the cobwebs and the ring dust. You know what I mean, to get ready for this. But yeah, I'm not really sure. It's cool, whatever, I guess, but I don't think we need to fight necessarily.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm more interested in it than I was in Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and some of these other, fights that they put on one-offs on Netflix. I think this will be at least competitive. Both of these guys have bad blood with one another. Pacquiao is going to want to get back in there and avenge that loss. Obviously, there was, in that first fight, people talked about the shoulder of Pacquiao. He came in with a torn labrum or rotator cuff, one of the two in his shoulder. But, Pat, it's just hard for me because I don't know where these guys are at skill-wise. And for Floyd Mayweather, obviously there's been guys that have done well, older, in boxing in the past. Bernard Hopkins comes to mind as a champion in his 50s. Floyd now 49. Do you think if Floyd goes in there, schools Pacquiao, do you think he'll get the itch to get back in there against world championship level competition? I know he's 49, but we've seen Hopkins at 52, I believe, won the middleweight title. Do you think Floyd, if he goes in there and schools Pacquiao, we might see him back in legit competition, maybe against a Terrence Crawford or somebody?
I hope not. He's going to be 50 years old. I mean, and the thing is, he's not like a middleweight, he's not a Bernard Hopkins sized guy. Like George Foreman came back when he was older and did it, but Floyd would have to be fighting some young, quick killers. It would just not work out well for him. I mean, this is a 49-year-old versus a 47-year-old in this fight. Like Peralez said in the chat, the first fight was 20 years too late. Obviously, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but at the same time, this fight is even 10 years later than that, 11 years later than that. So do I have interest? Sure, because it's Floyd and Manny, but will I actually rate this fight in terms of the winner did this? And no, I don't really care in terms of that. It's not going to matter.
What do you think about this one, Eddie?
Look, it's not about competition. It's a money grab, right? Now there's been a lot of talk. Now if you look at Matt Pac-Man, right? Pacquiao kind of funds his entire country on his own. I mean, the guy was running for office and doing this and that and the other, right? He does a lot of charitable work, right? But he doesn't seem like he has money issues. Floyd Mayweather, keep in mind, Floyd Mayweather is constantly dealing with lawsuits, right? He's facing multiple lawsuits all the time, significant debts, right? He has the ongoing financial scrutiny that he gets all the time because of what he spends, right? I can imagine the IRS probably calling him all the time. He constantly denies being in financial trouble, but then why would he out of nowhere sue Showtime and
for $325
for $340 saying he's still being owed money from the McGregor fight? All right, that only happens. You only call a debt up, or at least claim that they owe you money when you have money issues, right? So the no money team, make that hat. That's a great hat. I would wear that hat.
That's why I talk about him coming back to legit competition as well, is because if this guy's tough. Hundreds of millions of dollars in debt because he had thought he had $340 million coming to him from Showtime that never came. This guy's going to have to fight again at some point. And we see Mario Barrios. He already fought Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao already tested his foot coming back to legitimate competition. I think if Floyd goes in here and schools Pacquiao, I wouldn't put it past him, honestly.
Oh, he's not that dumb. Keep in mind. He waited way too long to fight Pacquiao. Won that fight. He got Canelo early before he got good and made him drop weight. If Floyd Mayweather is nothing if not a genius fight chooser, smart as hell. Okay, I'm not gonna fight Canelo 100%. I'm not fighting Canelo Alvarez before he hits his prime. I see this kid. I know he's gonna be good. I'm gonna get him before he hits his prime, right? Before he gets good, and I'm gonna make him cut more, and I'm gonna put a hydration clause in there. I'm gonna give myself as many. So I'm gonna stack the deck against him as much as possible, and I'm gonna win this fight. That is how smart Mayweather is. If you see his style from when he started his career, when he was actually offensive, to mid-career and then later in his career went completely defensive and reactionary, right? We haven't seen him be offensive until he fought McGregor. When he fought McGregor, because Conor McGregor just ran out of gas and he cracked and finished him in the ring. We haven't seen an offensive for Mayweather since then. So there you go.
Yep. All right, fight fans, we're going to go rapid fire here on some announcements that we had from last Wednesday to this Wednesday. Some new fight announcements, including Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley at 170 pounds, Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan, Joshua Van announced at the Q&A this weekend that he will be fighting Tatsuro Taira next. And then we also have Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. Eddie, what do you think about the matchup between Joaquin Buckley and Sean Brady?
I mean, it's a solid matchup, right? I mean, it's when sorry, you threw me off with the Mike Malott thing. Everyone's mad as hell about that being a main event. God damn. But the Buckley Brady fight, I mean, cool, right? I love seeing Buckley fight, honestly. I mean, I enjoy watching Buckley fight more than I enjoy watching Brady fight, personally, right? So it's gonna be one of those, like, can Buckley, stop takedowns and crack this dude, or are we gonna see Sean Brady just take this guy down and give him a Philly ass whooping on the ground? We'll see. But in terms of the matchup, let's just say I'm not canceling plans to watch it. I'm gonna watch it. We'll cover every freaking card. But if I had plans that night, I wouldn't cancel them for that fight.
Destiny, what did you think about the new title fight at 125 pounds? Joshua Van's first defense against Tatsuro Taira.
Oh man, it's hard because I mean Josh Van is great for sure, but like even the way he won the title isn't really the way you want to see somebody win it, not the way you want to win it. Like 9 times out of 10 does Pantoja beat him. So I kind of think I gotta go with Taira on this one. I really do. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the more interesting fights of the spring for me. That 327 card is coming together nicely. Pat, what did you think about Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott? Eddie mentioned that, some fight fans online aren't happy with that slotting, but Gilbert Burns is a veteran of the sport. Mike Malott, in my opinion, gets pushed because let's just face it, guys, Canada MMA is not where it was 15 years ago. We don't have Rory McDonald. We don't have George St. Pierre. These guys these headliners don't exist anymore, and we're relying on guys like Mike Malott and Amin Zahabi to kind of fill those co-main event and main event slots when they go and try to use one of these Canadian fighters. Pat, what do you think about this main event?
I mean, obviously they want a Canadian to headline in Canada. This fight's been in the works for a while, from what I know. For a couple months, honestly, this one's been in the works. You got to give Malott a step up. It makes sense to me. Like, what?
I can't hear him for some reason.
Oh, I don't know. I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear him.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Don't worry.
I can hear you guys. Yeah, no worries. Okay.
It's not Pat.
No, but I think it makes sense, though. I think Malott deserved the step up like this. I don't know if it's like the perfect main event. Don't get me wrong. I think there's probably better main events they could have made. But at the same time, like if you want a Canadian to headline, you don't have many choices. And Mike Malott is a good choice. This isn't a bad fight by any means. It's the right step in the right direction to move Malott up the rankings like they'd want to. So I don't know if it's a great main event, but there's been worse main events. And I think there's even a worse main event that was announced this week as well. So I can't even be too mad at a fight like this.
What main event was that?
Chris Duncan versus Renato Moicano. I mean, that's maybe a main card opener on a good pay-per-view. Hey,
don't sleep on Chris Duncan, the sheep farmer. That man has heavy hands and good grappling.
Listen, I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't think it needs more than 3 rounds. I think one of those guys will probably finish the other within 3 rounds. I mean, cool, they want to make it a headliner, but I don't even think it has the chance to go into those championship rounds. So I just don't think it makes sense as a main event. But at least Malott Burns, you have a guy in Gilbert Burns who's a former title challenger. Obviously, he's on the downtrend. But then you have a guy like Mike Malott who's on the uptrend in Canada. It'd be a big win for him to get in Canada in front of the Canadians. So I think that it makes more sense than the Duncan Moicano.
You got to look at the Canadians in the UFC right now. Jasmine Jasudavicius, I love Jazz. All right, she's fun to watch, but she's coming off a loss. Mike Malott, he still gets the crowds going in. Amin Zahabi, right, aka MMA Hawani, and then Marc-Andre Barrio, Power Bar, I love Power Bar, dude's dope, coming off a loss. Charles Jourdain is still entertaining as hell, but he clearly didn't get booked for this one. Brad Catone, I don't even know if he's in the UFC anymore. Kyle Nelson is great. I don't know why they're not booking him more. Melissa Croden's a dog. I mean, get her in there for sure. And then Serghei City, there's plenty of Canadians, right?
They should sign Aaron Jeffrey
They need to sign Aaron Jeffrey. Yeah. Like, get him in there. The guy's entertaining. Like, he's entertaining. He's got the mullet. He talks a little bit. Let's get him in there. But in terms of all those names I mentioned, if you're gonna put a Canadian in the main event, it's got to be between Malott, in my opinion, Malott and Zahabi, and they threw Malott in there.
Yep. Last time we saw Malott tested in Canada by a veteran, he was finished by Neil Magny. So let's see if he passes the test this time around against the veteran Gilbert Burns. But guys, before we get into the UFC Mexico Fight Night predictions, which we will run through here in a minute, Gable Stevenson was back and he did get a win. But Pat, for the first time I've seen it, Gable Stevenson was caught flush by a spinning head kick. He ate it, walked through it, but he was hit clean. Kind of shows a little bit that he does need to still keep improving. He's not a finished product before he even gets to the UFC. What did you guys think about Gable?
I still think he has the highest ceiling of any heavyweight out
Do you
there.
guys think he's ready for the UFC? I definitely don't.
Not yet.
My thing is, like, the UFC heavyweight division is so bad right now, and we're going to talk about, I guess we didn't talk about it, and now's the perfect time. Hokett and Curtis Blades got announced, right? And you got Josh Hokett, who was in football 5 years ago. And then you look at Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's ranked 4th right now. He was pitching for the Cincinnati Reds 5 years ago. So it's like, how good do you really have to be? I think he has skills. He hasn't seen some of these guys on the feet like he saw last weekend who are dangerous, in my opinion. But I don't think he can win the title right now. But I think he can compete with the Spivacs and the Martin Boudets and the guys like that who are outside the top 15. What do you think, Destiny?
Yeah, I think maybe outside top 15 for sure. I think we've seen it a million times that the UFC is just a different level. It really is, And so sometimes, I'm curious to see how he does at that level for sure.
So I saw this right here. He's a brown belt on eye pokes under John Jones. Is dope. That is gold comment, bro.
I'll tell you what, Destiny, I'd love to see him on the Contender Series next fall. I think he should be like the Bo Nickel of this next Contender Series.
I do like that. Not mad at that at all.
I like that take as well, only because I feel like he does need
Before we move on,
experience.
I wanted to touch back to the flyweight division as well.
Yeah. What's up?
So what do you guys think, after this fight, what happens? Like, does Pantoja get back in line? Does he get another chance, or is it Manel Cape? What do you guys think?
See, I don't really like Cape as much as other people because here's my opinion about Manel Cape. 3 or 4 fights ago, you lost to a guy who's not even in the UFC anymore, and you lost to him 30-27 in Muhammad Mokaev. So I know Muhammad Mokaev is one of the most talented guys. He should be in the UFC. He's not in the UFC because off of outside the ring or outside the cage activities. But I think it sets up 2 interesting matchups. If Tatsuro Taira beats Joshua Van, I think we could see a Japanese title fight between Tatsuro Taira and Kyoji Horiguchi. But like you mentioned, if Pantoja couldn't come back from that injury quickly, I think he should be getting that next title shot. But if it's not Pantoja next, I think maybe Horiguchi and Manel Kape should just fight and figure it out.
Not mad. Yeah, I like that. I've been looking at those rankings and I'm like, gosh, what is going to happen here?
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
It's a stacked weight class for sure there. I think it's tough to say what's going to happen next. I think obviously we see Tyra next, and then you got Pantoja, you got Horiguchi, you got Kape. 2 of those guys are probably going to end up fighting for the next title shot, but then the odd man out still probably deserves a title shot. So that's where it gets a little bit messy with this whole situation. But I think it's tough because you could argue that Pantoja deserves an immediate title shot coming back. So that whole division is kind of screwed right now, to be honest. They need to have it work itself out and hope that the title fights go the way they need them to. Because let's say, the title fight goes to a draw or something crazy like that, and they have to run it back. That'd be a massive nightmare because then you can't get the next man up.
Yeah, it really would be. 125 pounds right now is as open as it has ever been in the promotion. And we got to talk about another 125-pound matchup.
Real quick on that, right? Because Pat made a really good point right there where it's like 125 is a mess. You're 100% right. But here's how I want to see it, okay? Because I agree. I think Tyra wins this fight against Joshua Van. Okay, so you're going to get Tyra. Get my boy Horiguchi in there. Let's go. All right, get Horiguchi in there. Those guys fight, okay? And then winner gets Pantoja, fully healthy, coming off the arm injury. Let's get him back in there, right? It is mess. It's 100% a mess, but there is a way out of this mess, all right? Mr. Clean, he can figure this out for sure, all right? Get him in there, stack him up real nice, right? Make a little mini tournament if you want to call it that, all right? And you get Pantoja back healthy, and absolutely, first fight back, that man must fight for a belt.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all in agreement there. 125 pounds is as open as it has always been. And we have another matchup at flyweight that we have to talk about coming at you this weekend. Former champion Brandon Moreno takes on one of the hottest prospects in the division before his last fight when he got knocked out by Charles Johnson, which makes this a very interesting matchup because they kind of had to find a late replacement for Brandon Moreno on short notice. Loner Kavanagh, I think that the company's banking on the talent of him to come in here and put up at least a competitive fight against the former champion Brandon Moreno. But Pat, Brandon Moreno did not look good against Tatsuro Taira, who we just talked about. He got taken down and absolutely destroyed, dismantled on the ground. We have not seen that in the past from Moreno. He's fighting a very inexperienced guy here in Loner Kavanagh who only has 10 professional fights. Moreno over 30 professional fights. Is there any way you see the young European striker come in here and get this one done against Brandon Moreno?
I mean, I'm just gonna pick him based off vibes. So yeah, I guess so. I mean, straight up, I'm just
picking him on based off vibes, bro.
There you go.
I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, that's all I can say. I've liked Kavanagh a lot.
I personally say no. I can't go against Moreno on this one.
Yeah, me either.
No, yeah, I don't blame anyone for picking against Kavanagh here. I mean, it should be too much too soon. It definitely shouldn't be a matchup that he wins at this point in his career, especially considering he got knocked out by Charles Johnson in his last fight. But Charles Johnson's a tricky guy, and we know that. You know, we know he can knock out anyone. He knocked out Van, and he's just a beast. So obviously Moreno's great, but I think he's going downhill while Kavanagh's hopefully going uphill. And I don't know. I'm off vibes. I just have a feeling that Kavanagh gets it done. We've seen weird situations like this before where guys shouldn't win a fight and then they do. I just like Kavanagh striking a lot, and I think he will find a way to get it done.
No, Kavanagh striking is absolutely good. You're absolutely right on that, right? And Brandon Moreno might be his time, right? We've seen this over and over again. Guys that were former champions getting these young upstarts, right? That we're just like, oh, maybe he's not ready for that step up. Brandon Moreno experience, all this and the other. You know, Brandon Moreno's still up there. In miles, he's an old guy. In miles, right? Like, how many 5-round fights has he been in? How many wars has this guy been in? How many title fights? And when I talk about title fights, I'm talking about from the day that fight gets announced, media, training, camp, more media, more training, more camp, having a flight of location to shoot the promos, having to have embedded, having to have, a UFC countdown. Those are all miles up here. And then the body and training and in the fight, that stacks up after a while. Brandon Moreno, not long ago, you guys saw it last time he lost, when he lost his title. When he lost his title, he said he needed a break, right? He took 3 months off, maybe some small amount. And he was like, screw it, I'm back. I got bored, whatever. Like, that was a real eye opener for me. That tells me he recognizes he doesn't have much time left, right? So I still pick him in this fight, but I don't think Kavanagh is as much an underdog as everyone's kind of putting it to be. I think Brandon Moreno's in that first round, maybe first 2 rounds, he's going to be like, oh shit, this kid's for real. This kid's got something. And then that veteran savvy, that veteran experience, that title experience, that champion experience is going to come in, and he's going to do it for Mexico, bro. Let's go.
Like you said, Eddie, Moreno has 7 5-round fights.
It's hard to bet against him anytime, especially in Mexico. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think he might be on his way out, slightly start reaching the end for sure.
Hey, Pat, what were you saying?
Moreno has 7 5-round title fights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of guys haven't had as many 5-round fights in their careers, let alone 7 actual fights going into the 5th round and hitting that decision. So it definitely could get interesting, just on that, on that mileage point there.
100%. Yeah, no, the mile, you're 100% right. Like, that's a lot of miles in that dude. 7 5-round fights is crazy for anybody. But yeah.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this fight, it really determines to me what version of Brandon Moreno are we going to see, right? So for Loner Kavanagh, he just lost to Charles Johnson. And in my opinion, Brandon Moreno does everything that Charles Johnson does, just a little bit better, right? And Loner Kavanagh gassed in a 3-round fight against Johnson, getting knocked out in the 2nd round. How's he going to look for 25 minutes? You guys just mentioned that there's 7 title fights for Brandon Moreno in which he's gone 5 rounds in. So, I mean, this is a 5-round fight, and it's going to be the first one of Loner Kavanagh's career. My mind is telling me to pick Brandon Moreno by decision, but as you said, Pat, there's just a lot of talent from Loner Kavanagh in this one, and I do think that he could clip Brandon Moreno if the chin is diminished from when we saw it against Tatsuro Taira. So I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno by decision. Is that kind of where you guys are thinking too? Yeah. Other than Pat, who's going Kavanagh?
Pat's going Kavanagh. Okay, yeah. I'm going Moreno decision.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. We move on to the co-main event here, and David Martinez, 13-1. We saw him on UFC Noche. He will be taking on Marlon Vera, one of the veterans in the sport, former title challenger against Sean O'Malley. He lost a split decision last time out. David Martinez has impressed a lot of people, especially with the win over Rob Font in his last performance. Pat, I'll go to you first. What do you think about this one between the veteran Marlon Vera and the newcomer David Martinez, who I believe is not even 26 years old yet?
I love David Martinez. He's an electric striker. He's a very fun fighter. He's the new breed of bantamweight. I think there's a very decent chance that it could be too much of a step up for him at this point. But he also just beat Rob Font, who you would think is probably too much of a step up as well. So I think it's probably right on course with where he's at this point. I'm just so unimpressed with Chito over his past couple fights, honestly. I was talking about it a couple weeks ago when this fight got announced, but I'm not a fan of Chito. I'm really not. I can't. There's nothing about his past couple fights that makes me excited to watch him fight. David Martinez is the opposite. I'm always excited to watch him fight. So if Chito wants to win, I think he's going to need to grapple in this fight, test Martinez in an area where he's mostly untested, but I just don't see it happening. He's probably just going to sit back and do his low volume counter striking on the feet, which I think is just going to play right into the trap of Martinez. Unless he lands a big shot, which he really hasn't lately, I think David Martinez will probably style on him for a unanimous decision win.
Yeah, low output was the thing that came to mind right when you were talking. It's just he hasn't been as active as when we saw him earlier in his career. His last couple fights, the output just isn't there. But Destiny, which way are you going in this one?
I'm gonna go Martinez. I think again, as we were saying with Brandon, I think Vera is Chito he's old in dog years, and he's coming off 3 losses right now. Martinez coming off a big win of Rob Font, that's a big win for sure. So I definitely think that I'm rocking with David Martinez for sure, even possibly a finish.
Eddie, do we even have to ask which way you're going here?
Hell no, David Martinez, my boy. Vamos Mexico. Let's do this shit. But you can miss me on Chito for the rest of fucking life, okay? Chito Vera he's let me down over and over. Every time he fights, I'm like, oh, this guy's a scrapper. He's gonna go to war. He's gonna kick the shit out of somebody, and then he eats it. Like, what are we fucking doing, Chito? Like, bro, just admit that you're done. I don't understand how many losses he had in a row. Like 8, some crazy number. He's like 4 or 5 losses in a row. Like, 3. Dude. 3. Okay. Well, then I'll look like an asshole now. But still, like, still, you got losses in a row. All right. They were all bad. Like, they were all bad. Yeah. The performances are not there anymore. He's not. No one's afraid of him anymore. David Martinez is gonna be like, I'm gonna fuck him up, 100%. Take him out. So. No, I got Martinez by knockout, dude. Honestly, I think he finishes Chito, and he's gonna make a name off of Chito this weekend for sure.
I think that'd be so awesome.
That'd be crazy, right?
Does Chito lay him down? Does Chito lay him down this weekend?
No. You know why? Because I wouldn't lay him down either. You can whoop my ass over and over and over again in the UFC. If you're not cutting me, I'm like, oh, that check's still gonna clear? Yeah, I'll take another fight.
Period. Yeah, good point.
We're going to move on to a lightweight matchup here between Daniel Zellhuber and Bobby King Green. Bobby King Green 13-17-1. Daniel Zellhuber 15-3. Guys, on paper, you look at it and you say Daniel Zellhuber is 6'1". Bobby Green is 5'9", 5'10". He's got the length, he's got the youth, he's got the athleticism. But last time out, he had the length, the youth, and the athleticism, and he lost to Michael Johnson. So, it's very concerning here when you pick Daniel Zellhuber. I liked the potential of him. I picked him to beat Michael Johnson. He looked awful in that matchup, and it gives me no confidence picking him going into this matchup with Bobby King Green, other than the fact that King Green was knocked out viciously. Obviously, he got back in the win column recently, but Mauricio Huffy, vicious knockout. Jalen Turner, vicious knockout. Patty Pimblett, submitted him until he went unconscious. He's been finished a lot recently. Daniel Zellhuber should win this fight, and if he doesn't win this fight, I don't think we'll see him around the promotion too much longer.
Ooh, that is a hot take. He's a young guy.
If you lose to Michael Johnson and Bobby Green, 2 guys nearing 40 who have records that are 2-1, maybe Bobby Green's is, but Michael Johnson, I believe, is like 26-19, somewhere around there. That's just not a good look. You got to win those fights when you got the youth, the athleticism, and you got 3 inches in length.
I see what you're saying. I know I get your point 100%, but he's still only like 26, something like that. He's a young guy, so he's got time. He's entering his prime is now, obviously, right? 100%. But like King Green, he hasn't he's the same guy he's always been. Hands down, talking, walking forward, moving left and right and everything. I mean, the one thing I like about King Green is that he doesn't back up after he hits you, right? If he goes 1-2-1 again, he leans towards that side. Who else does that? Mike Tyson. We're talking about what's the name of the peekaboo style, right? King Green can do that. He doesn't do it a lot of the time, right? But the thing you can do against a guy with a longer reach than you is that you slip instead of back up, because you back up, you're back in their range, right? You slip, you can move a little bit better. But that being said, Zell Hooper absolutely needs to make a statement this weekend, and at home he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna do it. I don't know if it'll be a finish, because King Green is a dog and he's hard to finish, 100%. Like, you gotta land a devastating shot on King Green to finish him. That has been proven, right? Zell Hooper's gonna have to do it. Can he do it? Yes. Will he do it? I don't think so. I think these two are going to put on a war from Mexico on Saturday.
I think it'll be highly entertaining. Pat, which way are you going in this one, and how concerned were you with the loss to Michael Johnson from Zell Hooper?
Oh, I was very concerned about the Michael Johnson loss. It wasn't a good look whatsoever. I mean, he was a massive favorite in that fight. Everyone was expecting him to walk through Michael Johnson, and he couldn't. He just simply couldn't. With that said, though, it honestly makes me a little bit more confident in Zell Hooper for this fight, for one reason and one reason only. He knows that. He knows he was supposed to beat Michael Johnson and that he got kind of embarrassed in that fight. And I think that since everyone is kind of so low on him now, this is the kind of fight where he bounces back in style. I think Zell Hooper's probably going to add to the highlight reel of Bobby Green knockout losses. And I think he is going to catch Green, and I think he's going to put him out. I just think that length is going to be a serious issue. Bobby works better against guys that are smaller than him. Zell Hooper isn't. And I think that Zell Hooper is really going to be able to work his way around that shifty style and end up getting a KO here.
No, I think your point that King Green is better with guys that are smaller is totally valid. And Zell Hooper being much longer and taller is going to be a problem for him. I know it's like only 5'10", 6'1", whatever Zell Hooper really is. It's still in the cage is a massive difference. It really is. So it's going to be. I think Pat's right. I think Daniel Zell Hooper knows that Michael Johnson fight was not a good look whatsoever, and he's got to make up for it now, not later. Now.
Which way are you going in this one, Destiny?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Zell Hooper for sure. I think being at home, knowing he's got something to prove, I think he's definitely gonna come out and get it done. King Green, obviously that knockout from Ruffy was a year ago, but still that does change you as a fighter and how you take shots. So I think he is a dog for sure, but we don't really know. Could that affect him at all? So I'm gonna walk with Zell Hooper for sure.
All of us are going with Zell Hooper in this matchup. Guys, that really ends the top tier talent on this card, in my opinion, until, maybe Emmanuel Rodriguez on here. But, I mean, Edgar Chairez and Felipe Burns, which way are you going in that one, Pat? Not the most high-profile matchup in the world. I'll take Edgar Chairez at home, but don't really have a fight in the dog any which way.
I think that both of these guys are skilled on the ground. They both have decent striking. I really don't lean heavily either way in this fight. I do think Chairez probably gets it done just based off his resume before he was in the UFC. But honestly, I'm not too high on either of these guys, and I don't have confidence in a pick here. I just think it's kind of like two of the not worst flyweights on the roster, but two of the lower tier flyweights on the roster going up against each other. And I just guess I just favor Chairez a lot because he's in Mexico for sure. I think he'll probably want to put on something big in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, my Mexicano hood won't let me pick against the boy. All right, Puro Chicala's gonna come in, go to war, my boy. All right, I can't. You know what sucks is I'm not gonna be able to watch it live. I'm not to catch him the next day, but still, it's gonna be dope. But Chairez he's. Look, let's be honest, he's never going to fight for a title, right? Like, he's not that high level kind of guy. Yeah. What he does do is put on some scraps, all right? If you tell me Edgar Chairez is fighting, I don't give a shit who's on the other side. It's going to be a scrap, and I'm in.
Yeah, it should be fun. Do you have an opinion on this one either way, Destiny?
I'm with Eddie for sure. I gotta go with my Mexican roots. I think him being home too, just feeling that Mexican spirit and his people with him. And yeah, I mean, like Eddie said, he fights like a Mexican. You can always expect a banger when he's in the octagon. But yeah, I'm gonna ride with Chairez for sure.
All right, we're all going with Charez in that one as well. Unanimous on the last two picks. We're going to scroll down here to Emmanuel Rodriguez, who is undefeated at 6-0. Pat's going to have to give us a little bit of a breakdown on him. He'll be fighting veteran Kevin Borjas, who has kind of been on a little bit of a losing streak, but he is always game, bites down on the mouthpiece, very entertaining guy, and he will be there for a scrap. Do you see this one being a highly entertaining contest, Pat?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be entertaining for the time it lasts. Boras has some good hands, but I think Imanol has some even better hands. And I think that Imanol also has some better grappling. And I think he also has more power in those hands. So I think that overall, I just think Imanol's a lot more polished of a fighter, despite the, couple less fights that he has than Boras. I think Imanol's a lot more polished. I think of him very highly as a prospect that came off this past year's Contender Series. He's probably top 5, top 10 for me of the guys that came in from Contender Series this last season. And I really like Imanol Rodriguez, and I think he'll probably finish Boras in this fight.
Yeah, your point about his performance at Contender Series there, Pat, like, that was a nasty uppercut he landed in the first round. Like, damn, dude, that was nasty, right? He's gonna bring a fight for sure. But dude, these Peruanos, dude, these guys are wild. Like, honestly, I love watching. Like, my thing is, I love a Mexican fighter, right? We fight like we fight. But Peruanos, dude, the Peruvians, woo, these guys are nasty. Brett, who's the dude in PFL who's a nasty dude?
Jesus Pinedo.
I'm a huge fan of that guy. These Peruvians, dude, they come in like you offended them from the get-go.
Daniel Marcos,
too. Ooh, Daniel Marcos is the dog, dude. So this is going to be a fight. 100%. There's going to be a war. Imanol's going to get his man card in this one for sure, because Borjas is not going to give it to him easy. Now, could he come in and knock out Borjas in one shot? Sure, he's showing he has power, right? But I don't see it. I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Are you going Rodriguez in this one, Destiny?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that. I agree that he's, they just have a different type of, Mexican fights like a Mexican, but they're different. They're kind of crazy, like almost like you insulted their ancestors or something. So yeah, I'm gonna lean that way, but I definitely am expecting an exciting banger. I would love to see a 3-fight war for sure, a 3-round war.
Yeah, I think this could be one of the most entertaining fights on the prelims. We're going to move down the card here a little bit to Santiago Luna and Angel Pacheco. You're going to have to tell me some about Angel Pacheco here, Pat, but Santiago Luna got a big win at the UFC Noche card. He impressed me a lot. He's very young, tall for the weight class. He has good jiu-jitsu, good skills on the feet as well. I presumably think that he's going to get this one done this weekend. Am I crazy?
No, not at all. Pacheco is a weird one because he got into the UFC off of a loss on Contender Series and then lost his only UFC fight. He didn't fight in 2025 at all, and his fight in 2024 was earlier in the year. So he's been pretty inactive, to be honest. I don't really think too highly of Pacheco. He's a fun fighter. He can take a lot of damage. He can go to war, but I'm not sold on his skills yet. Luna's definitely a green prospect. He definitely has some work to do and some building to do, but I think this is the perfect kind of fight to build Santiago Luna into a better prospect, and I definitely think he wins this fight. I probably lean a knockout finish here, but I wouldn't be shocked if Pacheco was tough enough to last to a decision, because he has been able to in his past couple.
Now, Pacheco is super, super tough. You're absolutely right on that. He's shown he can do that. Now, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong. Santiago Luna was a late replacement for that first fight, right? Pretty sure short notice.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
I was actually looking that up as you.
No. That's all I gotta say about him. That's it. All right. Luna has something now. It could also be to put in, I guess, football terms. Like, it could be CJ Stroud's rookie year, right? No one had tape on him really in the NFL, so he killed everybody. Second year, he's human. Okay, cool. Not a lot of tape on Luna. Let's see what happens here. But
he finished Quang Lee at Noche in San Antonio, and I believe he was short notice for the Quang Lee fight.
There you go.
Obviously, Quang is stuck around the UFC.
He was. It was actually supposed to be David Martinez against Quang Lee in that fight.
That's right. It was supposed to be David Martinez. You're right. Yeah, 100%. So let's just see what Santiago has. I think he's full camp. Pacheco's, he's not a punk. Honestly, I know he comes in he came in off a loss in Contender Series, but he's not a punk. He's going to be a hard fight for Luna, 100%.
And then, Eddie, last one for me here on this card. How is Jose Medina on the roster still?
Where's he at?
I believe he was the next fight.
Is he really?
No.
Yeah, right under, right there.
Oh,
Ryan
he's like 11-6, and I don't think I've seen him win one fight.
Oh boy,
I think
some people really scale under the radar.
Yeah.
He lost. He's another guy who lost his Contender Series fight, and now he's 0-3 in the UFC.
He hasn't. I'm not crazy, right? He hasn't won.
No, you're right.
No.
You're right.
Okay. He didn't even win on the Contender Series.
Okay, but hang on a second. All right, do not go shit on my boy Jose here, okay? All right, when Michael Chandler's still in the UFC, what are we talking about here, okay?
He's the
We're talking
worst
like Michael Chandler.
He's the worst guy I've seen in the promotion since Ihor Peteria.
Michael Chandler has 2 wins in the UFC against old. All due respect, Tony Ferguson. I love Tony Ferguson, but it was not the same Tony Ferguson that fought before. Okay, and who's the other guy that Michael Chandler beat? Whoever that was.
Dan Hooker.
Do I have to say anything else? Do I have to say anything else? All right, stop shitting my boy Jose. Okay, all right, he's gonna lose this fight. He's gonna find his way out 100%. But all right, if Michael Chandler can stick around the UFC as long as he has, so can Jose.
I just looked up his last win, Eddie. He has not won since 2023, and it was a split decision win over a guy who was 4-2 at the time.
Oh shit! All right, well,
your boy Jose might go to sleep this week.
Sorry, Jose. Hey, bro, I tried.
Anyway, hey, I do want to get your guys' opinion on this real quick before we wrap up the show. Kind of a more serious topic here, but there was some situations going on in Mexico around the airports and kind of some tourist problems. We were worried about whether this fight would even happen in Mexico or whether it would go to the Apex. Eddie, do you know anything about like what's happening on the ground at where the fight's at this week? Is it a danger at all? Are people having to stay in the hotels? Or is it more just overblown media sensation stuff, and it's going to go along like a normal fight week?
So I've actually gone on a couple other shows to talk about this. Friends that have shows and everything ask about it. Guadalajara, Jalisco is my hometown. That's where I came from. That's where I was born. And that's there in the state of Jalisco is where all this went down. So just give me a couple minutes here to explain this because it's complex-ish. Okay, it's a 6.5-hour drive from Guadalajara to Mexico City. That means fuck all. Okay. What you need to learn, and this is going to be some raw truth for y'all, okay? I'm about to educate y'all on cartel, okay? The cartel in Guadalajara and in the state of Jalisco as a whole is the CJNG, right? Nueva Generación, all those fucking assholes. But they control that part of town. But the cartel that controls Mexico City is the Sinaloa cartel. So unless the Mexican government goes after those guys and starts some shit, there should be minimum danger in Mexico City in terms of cartel violence, right? Now, in terms of people on the ground, you guys know me. I mean, you know, I was like, as soon as I heard the news, I was on the phone. I was reaching out to family members. Thank you to everyone that reached out. Everyone's okay. Everyone's good. As my family does, and as all Mexicans do, we were busting jokes about the whole shit while it was going down. So it is what it is. But everyone's safe. Everyone's good. The situation, though, is up until about today was very, very tense. The cartel came out the day that happened and told everybody, hey, at 2 p.m., you better stay inside. If you're outside, you are hostile. We're going to come get you, right? Warning the people. And there was videos going around everywhere. After 2 p.m., there was one video that kind of scared the shit out of me because it was these 4 cartel dudes, sicarios, pointed down. They literally started like going after a guy in a taxi, dragged him out of the taxi, stole it. But a truck drove by, a big-ass like dump truck. They fired at the thing. They were not playing. Like people were serious about that warning. So luckily now, word is that things are getting back to normal. All the roadblocks that the cartel were putting up are mostly cleaned up. But it's definitely a scary situation, 100%. You know, I had one of my cousins was at the airport in Guadalajara when all that went down. He was able to duck into a taxi and get home, luckily. But you know, I was talking. This is a dude I grew up with, and he's one of the toughest motherfuckers I've ever known in my life. And he was shaking when he called me. So it was a real situation. Luckily, things are kind of clearing up a little bit. Definitely something to keep an eye on. But in terms of Mexico City itself, I'm not concerned. Again, it's a different cartel, and the last thing one cartel wants to do against another is go to war, because that is a bloodbath, no matter how you put it. But luckily everyone's okay. But I have no concerns about this weekend. Now, if something actually happens, we're going to be stepping into some crazy waters that we've never been in before when it comes to the UFC specifically. So yeah, let's just see what happens here. But I feel like it's going to be okay. I think it'll be all right.
Highly doubt Dana makes the trip this weekend, but thanks for joining us, fight fans. We will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, bringing you any breaking news and instant analysis from the fight world, anything that happens.
Let me get 30 seconds. Real quick, 30 seconds, all right? LFA 227 this Friday night. Gabriel Gonzalez will be there for Cageside Press. We got some bangers, okay? Now, Fernando Nascimento against Yuya Kamikubo. It's a dogfight at bantamweight, people. Arnold Jimenez against Alan Bagoso. My boy, Alan Bagoso, gonna bring it over here against Arnold Jimenez at 135 pounds. Get Alan in the UFC. Theo Haig, I got to talk to him a couple days ago. That is up on our YouTube. Make sure you guys check that out against Lance Wright. That's a dog of a fight. Aspen Ladd's brother, the 205er, Cheryl Ladd, fighting in there. But the one person two people you need to keep an eye on for this card. All right, Marty Piccolo. She is a dog at flyweight. Fun as hell. And the nicest person I've ever interviewed after she beat the shit out of somebody, okay? That was dope in Ventura, all right? And then Roman Puga. This kid at 45, man, he has a personality on him, and it's not a bad one. I mean, he's God-fearing man. But the kid can scrap. 100%. Do not miss that card on Friday, Vice TV. All right, and then I will be at RAF here in Phoenix. Henry Cejudo against Faber in the main card, on the main event. Armin Sarukian is going to be there. Clay Guida is going to be there. UFC guys left and right is going to be awesome. We can have all that coverage for you guys, so make sure you guys keep it locked to our YouTube and our InCageSidePress.com for all post-fight stuff from there. And, of course, UFC Mexico City, all right? We're going to be dope. And do not miss, all right? Every single Tuesday, our girl Destiny is going to be bringing you Technique Tuesdays. This last Tuesday, we got Vince Morales showing a nasty, what did he call it? Not Peruvian necktie. What did he call it?
Vinchuvian.
The Vinchuvian. All right. Yeah. All right. I tried it. It didn't work for me. Then someone did it to me and I got fucked up. So it works. It works. But there you go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys.
Thanks for joining us, fight fans, and we'll see you next week.
See you next
Damn
week,
it, Carlos, do not fuck this up. Get me a quarterback, goddammit.